Hi everyone, it's Kathie. Thanks so much for joining me. Today I'll be featuring the February 2019 Paper Pumpkin Kit, and this is the first alternate card project that I'm sharing. I do have a second one, so hopefully I'll get to that soon. Before we start, I do have some news. I know I mentioned a while back that I was a bit on the fence to stay on with Stampin' Up! And Paper Pumpkin, and so I did resign Stampin' Up!, but I was able to rejoin right away. And I'm happy to report that Suzanne Netz from Sun Stamping is now my upline. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. Here's my new demo ID, and I also have a new Canadian Stampin' Up! Store where you can buy all your crafty goods. And also a new link to the Paper Pumpkin website if you're interested. I'd love to have you on my team. And right now is the best time to join in before March the 10th because it does include an extra stamp set. And lastly, here is a link to my blog, and that hasn't changed at all. Okay, we're going to move on to the card. Here is the alternate card project we're going to make today. And we're just going to jump right in. The kit came with this card base with the slight design on it along with the black card base. So I just chopped them up just so that I use up, what's in the kit. And I wrote down the measurements on each one of the panels. So that's for the two black panels, and then this one, the larger one with the light design, and then the smaller one. And we're just going to stick them all together and create a little mat. All right, we're going to use the teacup stamp, and we're just going to ink up the succulent portion of it, not the honeysuckle, the succulent. And with the smallest panel, actually I was going to do it on the small panel, but I decided against it because I didn't want to waste it. So if you mess up, well, you wasted some Whisper White. So that's what we're going to stamp on. Just inking up the top portion of that, and then with a paper towel, I'm just removing any ink that's not going to be part of the image. And if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. We are going to go back in with a fine tip marker and kind of redefine the lines. This part here, stamp at a slight angle to connect to the first image. So I decided to connect it there, and then we have a little gap there, and I'm going to ink it up again, but just, I'd say like a quarter of that image. I'll show it to you in a second when I get to it. And there, so I'm just inking it up, and then I am meticulously taking off the parts that I don't want. So there's the overstamping on the lower right, and then I took a paper towel and I cleaned it off. And I basically just eyeballed it and filled in that little corner. So you can see there's like a little bit of marks here and there. I'm not going to worry about it. And then there's also like additional stamping lines on this flower. Flowers are quite busy anyway, so it's all going to be okay at the end. So here's where I'm kind of redefining some of the lines that didn't come out because, the paper towel's kind of taking some of the ink off. And then also I'm just adding a little bit of detail. So the little veins in the center of the petals. And then once I'm done that, I'm just going to create a little center. So I'm just dotting the center, and then afterwards I brought in the basic black Stampin' Right marker because it's such a fine tip marker that I was going to be there forever. And this tip here is a little bit fatter, so I decided to use that just to get it to fill in a little bit more, but you don't want it solid, okay? So you still want some little white bits in the background to show up. So now that's starting to look more like a flower, right? Okay, Melon Mambo is the color we're going to use, Flirty Flamingo, and Petal Pink. And we're going to start off with the darkest color and just coloring that first petal with Melon Mambo, and then I'm going to build it upwards. Flirty Flamingo, and then pink petal all the way to the end of that petal. All right, so we're going to do it to about 3 or 4 petals at a time with the darkest color and then the mid-tone and then the lightest color. This is Whisper White again, and I find that it does kind of hold that ink, keeps it a little bit wet longer, so you're able to kind of blend it in, and it does blend quite well. So there's not a lot of, what do they call that? Demarcation marks? Yeah. I am coloring about 3 or 4 petals at a time, and I'd have to say the flower was a bit time consuming, but once it's done, it does turn out quite nice. Once I'm finished coloring the flower, I do go back in with Melon Mambo to redefine the center parts of each of the flower petals and also where it overlaps, just to give it more definition. All right, so now I'm using Pineapple Punch to just color in that center and then back with Basic Black just to redefine the dark center. And I did cut out most of the footage when I redefined each of the petals all over again. So I just basically went over it again with the Melon Mambo and the other 2 colors. Now, of course, the kit didn't come with any leaves, and I just have to have a leaf with my flower. So I did hand draw it in with pencil first, and then I just trace it with the fine tip marker. So it doesn't have to be perfect, because remember, leaves are not perfect either. I'm using Granny Apple Green and also Garden Green, and I did bring in the Pineapple Punch afterwards. So I colored in with the mid-tone, I left the highlight area, and then I just colored it in with the Pineapple Punch. And then the darkest color is the Garden Green, and this does look super dark, doesn't it? It does, but don't worry, it does lighten up when it dries. I always forget that, but I wasn't too worried about it because I do like my colors bold. I don't know, I'm a bold person. So it does look dark, but don't be afraid. It will lighten up. You'll see. Okay, so we're going to do the next flower. And this is like, I don't know what you call this. I don't have a green thumb, guys. I think I'll just call it a side view of a flower. So again, we're going to ink up the succulent and then just make sure the teacup edge isn't inked up. So just go slow, take off that ink where you don't want it. And then I just come back in with my marker. I did freehand that stem. Yes, I did. I was brave. And then again, we're just going to add some veins to each of the flower petals. So that looks pretty good, right? And then again, we're just going to color it pretty well the same way. And this time I just added Melon Mambo all at the bottom for the first color. And then I went over it with the second color and then the lighter color. I did go back in with Melon Mambo just to redefine all of the petals. It does look dark, but it will lighten up, so don't worry. Okay, so now we're going to trim out each of the flowers, and I am leaving a little white border around it. And then we're going to stamp out the sentiment that came in the kit. I did fuss with this because I wanted it straight, and I'm happy that it's pretty straight. And we're going to put together each of the panels. And then we're going to put dimensionals on the back of the flowers. And we're going to stick it on the bottom right of the smaller panel. And in the background, I did fuss on the layout, so I did settle for that. I didn't press it down yet, so I thought I'd just kind of think about it. And yeah, I think I like that. So I did press that down. And do note, see the smaller panel? The pattern goes in the other direction. So when you cut it out so it sits in the same direction because I think it'll look better. And to finish off the card, I did add 4 of the metallic enamel dots that came in the kit and also a little bit of clear Winkastella on the flower petals to add a bit of sparkle. So I hope you enjoyed today's card tutorial. Thank you so much for joining me. And again, if you're interested in trying out Paper Pumpkin, get in on it before March the 10th, because this month we'll have an extra stamp set, and you can follow along with me on my alternate card projects. Thanks again. Until next time, bye for now.